To make a scarecrow, you start off with 2 garden stakes and some nails. So what I did was I had one a bit longer than the other, and about 17 centimeters below the top I put the shorter horizontal stake in, and I just nailed it in with one nail. I used nails that weren't long enough to protrude to the other side because I felt they could be too dangerous when stuffing the scarecrow. They could potentially catch a person on the arm. I then turned it around and hammered in 2 nails. I found that using the nails on their own wasn't quite good enough, but it was a good starting point. So in addition to the nails, I took 2 ratchet straps and I wrapped them around the stakes, crossing them over, and I tightened them as much as I could. This provides some extra support to keep the stakes in place. So what you need next are a pair of pants and a shirt. Once you have those, you take the bottom of the cross and you poke it through one of the legs. Then you take some rope. I prefer to tie knots around the end of the rope so they don't fray. And then you tie it really tight around the bottom of the pants on both the one that's got the stake through it and the other one as well, because then you're going to fill it up with your straw. Next, you're going to take the cross and you're going to hammer the vertical garden stake into the ground. Make sure you go deep enough to make sure that it's in there nice and secure. Then you're going to take your straw and you're going to stuff it into the legs of the pants. Push the straw down to the bottom as far as it will go and keep packing it in there until you're almost at the top. So now it's time to cut 2 holes in the front and 2 holes in the back where we'll thread the rope through, and then it will act as a suspender belt. So all you need to do now is take the end of a long piece of rope, thread it through one of the holes at the front and tie it into a double knot. At this point in time, it's okay to just let it hang there. And then you do the same with the other hole at the front of the pants. Make sure that the length of the ropes that you're using are long enough to be tied in at the front and are able to extend over the shoulders and are able to be tied into the hole at the back of the pants. Then you take 2 shorter pieces of rope and tie them around the cuffs of the sleeves. Now it's time to hang the shirt onto the cross. So you dress the scarecrow by taking one sleeve and sliding it along one end of the horizontal stake, and then you take the other sleeve and do the same at the other end. These are the next cavities that we're going to fill with the straw. I tucked in the shirt and I buttoned it up from the bottom and continued to button it higher as I filled it up with straw. Once it was plump enough, I pulled the rope over the shoulders and then I tied it in at the back with a double knot, so that way it looked like suspender belts. Once you're satisfied with how the body looks, it's time to look at how you're going to do the head. Mine was made out of 3 pieces of hessian that I sewed together, but you could use a sack if you've got one, or even a pillow slip. It doesn't really matter as long as you think that it's going to survive the weather for your Halloween display. You can see here that I've just done a simple stitch around all of the edges where I was joining the 3 pieces of fabric, and you can see here that I had actually used this in the past, so it had a hole in the top as it had been in the weather for a very long time. So I just did a patch from the inside to hold everything in. For the face, I have some twine that I've sewn around the front of it to make the mouth. It looks a little bit rough, but it doesn't matter, it is a scarecrow. And I've sewn on 2 black buttons. They're not exactly the same size, but that's all I could find. and I've used some wool to make like a cross behind them to emphasize the eyes. And for the nose, I've used some orange felt, which was cut into a triangular shape with rounded corners, and I sewed that on as well. You don't have to make your face the same way that I did mine. You can use whatever materials you like, bearing in mind the weather, of course, and the look that you're wanting. If it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to the first time, you can always try again. So here you can see I didn't quite make the fabric long enough for the head to be tucked into the shirt. So what I did was I took an extra piece of fabric, the burlap or hessian fabric that I had, and I did a hand stitch to attach it. So I had to do that 3 times because there were 3 pieces of fabric. Once you're satisfied with the look of the head, it's time to stuff it with some straw. Once you've done that and filled it as tight and full as you can, you pop it over the top of the stake and you tuck the long pieces into the shirt, and then you button the shirt up all the way to the top. Once you've done that, now's a good time to put the hands in. So what I did was I found some pieces of straw that were very long. I put about 1 to 2 bunches of this long straw into the cuffs. So you may have to loosen them a bit to get it in. If you do, that's fine. Just make sure that once you've loosened it and put the straw in, that you make them very tight again. Once that's done, you take a piece of rope, you wrap it around the neck underneath the collar, and you tie it into a tie. So there we have it, a scarecrow. So dress him up and make him look scary for Halloween, or just leave him cute the way he is. Happy Halloween, everyone!